If you dare to sign, this company is finished. My husband pointed at me. Standing behind him were more than 50 core members he had recruited. The woman beside him, my future vice president, wore a confident expression. I picked up the pen without even looking at them. Swish, swish, swish. I signed and agreed to all 50 resignation letters. The air fell silent in an instant. I threw the pen on the table and walked up to him. The company may not be finished. But you are. We're getting a divorce. He didn't know that every signature in the resignation letter was bound by an exorbitant non-compete agreement. If you dare to sign, this company is finished. My husband, Ji Mingxian, was almost poking my nose with his finger. His eyes bloodshot with a crazed determination. Behind him stood a dark mass of over 50 core members of Yunqi Technology. A declaration of loyalty he handed to me, and a dagger aimed at my heart. The woman snuggled beside him. An Qi, the mistress to whom he promised the position of vice president, looked at me with a victorious demeanor, both pitying and contemptuous. She leaned weakly against Ji Mingxian, her voice sweet to the point of cloying. Sister Qing. Mingxian is also doing this for the good of the company. These are all the elites of the company. They just hope for better development. Please support us. Support you. What a we. I lowered my head, looking at the stack of resignation letters on the desk, piled up like a small mountain. Each one signed with a name I had personally brought out. They were once my most trusted comrades, staying up late together to overcome challenges, celebrating with a toast after the project's success. Now, they stand uniformly on the opposite side of me. Their eyes evasive yet filled with a stirred-up greed. The air is thick with a nauseating scent of betrayal. Ji Mingxian, seeing that I remained silent, assumed I was afraid and became even more arrogant. Chen Qing, don't push your luck. Without me, without this team, Yunqi Technology is just an empty shell. Bow your head now, vacate the position of vice president, and give me half of your shares. We are still a couple, and this company can still survive. He still thought this was the usual quarrel between a couple. A commercial negotiation that could be exchanged for mutual benefit. I laughed. Not a cold laugh, nor a bitter laugh, but a genuine laugh that arose from the depths of my heart. Feeling it was utterly absurd, I lifted my head, my gaze passing over him and sweeping across those familiar yet unfamiliar faces behind him. Some people lowered their heads in guilt, while others held their necks high, forcing themselves to appear calm. My gaze finally returned to Ji Mingxian's face, twisted with pride. All right, I said. Silence enveloped the room. Even the softness on An Qi's face froze for a moment. I picked up the Mont Blanc gold pen on the table, a gift I had given him after our company successfully completed its series of funding. The icy touch of the pen tip spread from my fingertips to my heart. I removed the cap from my pen, not even glancing at the contents of those resignation letters. Swish. The first name. Shin Qing. Swish. The second name. Chin Qing. Swish. 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 The crisp and sharp sound of slicing through paper echoed in the silent conference room, like a series of precise surgical knives. More than 50 resignation letters. I signed them all in agreement. The effective date is immediate. The air seemed to be sucked out, and everyone held their breath. Those elites who had just been so aggressive now looked pale, staring at me in disbelief. Ji Mingxian's pupils suddenly contracted. He probably anticipated that I would cry, throw a tantrum, or compromise, but he never expected such a straightforward and decisive ending. I threw the pen down on the smooth conference table with a bang, producing a piercing sound. I stood up and walked step by step towards him. We were very close. Close enough for me to smell the mixed scent of An Qi's perfume and his own. A smell I had once been incredibly familiar with. The company can't be saved. I looked at him calmly, each word clear and distinct. But you are finished. I paused for a moment, delivering the final blow. We're getting a divorce. Ji Mingxian's expression shifted from shock to a deep pallor. as if he were seeing me for the first time. Chen Qing, are you crazy? He roared, his voice sharp with uncontrolled anger. Who do you think you are? Without me, Ji Mingxian, without this team, you are nothing. Anqi quickly stepped forward, linking her arm with his, softly playing her part. Mingxian, don't get angry with her. Let's just leave. If this place doesn't want us, there will be another place that does. With our abilities, where can't we make a comeback? As she spoke, she provocatively glanced at me, as if declaring her victory. I looked at this pair of dog lovers, the smile at the corner of my mouth growing colder. Leave. Sure. I turned my head and said to the silent legal director, Lawyer Chen, who was standing beside me, Lawyer Chen, notify everyone to immediately activate the non-compete agreements for these 53 individuals. Prohibit them from working for any company in the country engaged in artificial intelligence, big data analysis, and related fields for 2 years, including but not limited to founding, investing, partnering, being employed, or serving as a consultant in any form. Non-compete agreement. What non-compete agreement? The crowd instantly erupted, the previously silent conference room now boiling like water at a rolling boil. A technical team leader who usually got along closely with Ji Mingxian shouted with a pale face. When did we ever sign a non-compete agreement? Chen Qing, don't try to trick us. I ignored him and just looked at Ji Mingxian. The anger on his face also froze, replaced by an absurd, disbelieving expression. Chen Qing. His voice was dry. When did you? When? I finished his sentence for him. When you first took Anqi on a vacation to Sanya with the company's money. When you secretly gave the core code we developed together to Anqi's company as a favor. When you thought I was still that fool buried in technology, oblivious to the outside world. My voice was not loud, but it struck each person's heart like a heavy hammer. One blow after another. The labor contract you signed upon joining. Chapter 3 of the Appendix. Article 17. Regarding confidentiality and non-competition clauses for core technical personnel. You probably never looked at it closely, did you? The crowd was in an uproar, with some people frantically searching their phones, trying to find their electronic contracts. Ji Mingxian shouted angrily. Chen Qing, are you out of your mind? The compensation could ruin you. Can you afford it? Compensation. I looked at him as if he were a clown. Of course I can afford it. This amount will be deducted first from your 30 share. Ji Mingxian. For the losses caused by your instigation of company employees and maliciously draining the company. I will have my lawyer calculate every single penny with you. As for the division of marital property in the divorce, your infidelity during the marriage and the transfer of joint assets, we will settle these matters in court. He was completely stunned, mouth agape, unable to utter a single word. I no longer looked at him, turning to the trembling Anqi beside him. Miss N. I took a brown paper bag from the assistant, pulled out a document, and slapped it directly onto her proud, innocent face. The edge of the paper grazed her cheek, leaving a faint red mark. Falsifying an MBA from Columbia University. Fabricating work experience at a top headhunting firm in the U.S. Packaging yourself as a new rich with countless resources. Miss N. Does the benefactor behind you, who provided the funds for you to come to Yunchi Technology to fish for rich clients, know that you are a complete fraud? And Chi's face instantly shifted from white to green, and then from green to ashen gray. She trembled her lips, looking at me, her eyes filled with fear. She probably never dreamed that the disguise she took pride in would be so easily shattered in front of me. Please escort them out. I coldly commanded the security guard at the door. Ji Mingxian still wanted to struggle, but Anqi seemed to have all her strength drained away. Collapsing softly, a coup d'etat directed by my husband himself, staged in collaboration with his lover and my most trusted employees, came to an end amidst the farce of them being awkwardly escorted out of the company by security. The door to the conference room closed. shutting out the noise from outside. I looked at the room that was more than half empty, and at the remaining employees with worry etched on their faces, and took a deep breath. I knew that the battle had only just begun. The company is doomed. This is the common thought shared by all the remaining employees of Yunshi Technology, one of the founders and the technical director, Ji Mingxian. Left with more than 50 core technical and sales backbones, which is a devastating blow for any startup. The atmosphere in the office is tense, with whispers echoing continuously. What should we do now, General Shin? The tech department has almost been emptied. Sales has lost more than half of its team too. What are we going to do about next quarter's contracts? Season's too ruthless. This isn't just resigning. It's a death blow to the company. My assistant, Xiaoya, a young girl who had just graduated not long ago, with red-rimmed eyes and a voice choked with tears, said, "Sister Qing, do we really have to hold on any longer?" I patted her shoulder and said nothing. My phone has been ringing non-stop since a while ago. A few old employees who had been turned have probably come to their senses, realizing that the non-compete agreement is no joke, and they are starting to regret it. Qing Jia, I was wrong. I was confused for a moment. Mr. Shen, please give me another chance. I have elderly parents and young children to support. It was all Ji Mingxian and that vixen who deceived us. We don't want to leave. Listening to the sobbing and heartfelt confession on the other end of the phone, I felt not a single ripple in my heart. As an adult, one must pay the price for their choices. I didn't come here to run a charity. I hung up one by one, then blocked them. Ji Mingxian also sent a message. No longer the arrogant and domineering person from before, but a frantic threat. Qin Qing, just you wait. What you left behind is just an empty shell. In less than 3 days, you'll be begging me to come back. I looked at the message and found it ridiculous. He is always so arrogant, believing that the success of Yunshi Technology relies solely on his own skills. He will never see that on another floor of this office building, there is a world he has never set foot in. I stood up and said to Xiaoya, notify all employees that in 10 minutes, there will be a meeting in the large conference room. Now, Xiaoya was a bit surprised. Now, 10 minutes later, the large conference room was filled with people, each face marked by anxiety and unease. I stood on the stage, looking at the faces of the contestants below. There are newly hired interns, colleagues from administration and finance, and a few young people from the technical department who haven't been swayed. They are the last sparks of Yunshi Technology. I know what everyone is thinking right now. I began, my voice steady and strong. You're wondering if the company is going under, if we're going to lose our jobs. There was a silence in the audience, but everyone's eyes said it all. I stand here today to tell everyone that Yunshi Technology will not fall. I turned to the side and pressed the remote control. The large screen behind me lit up, revealing a logo, a ghostly face made up of code, faintly visible. Below it was a line of text. Project Ghost. A small commotion arose from the audience. Today, I officially introduce a new team to everyone. As soon as I finished speaking, the side door of the conference room was pushed open. A dozen or so people walked in. They were young, mostly in their early 20s. Dressed in simple t-shirts and jeans, their expressions calm, even somewhat laid back. But when their eyes scanned the code on the screen, a glimmer of almost greedy light flickered in each of their eyes. That was the look of top hackers and tech geniuses, the kind that appeared when they spotted the perfect prey. They are the members of the Phantom Project. I introduced to the group 3 years ago, when I discovered that the company's technological direction might be exploited by certain individuals for personal gain. I initiated this project. For the past 3 years, they have secretly participated in the research and iteration of all our core projects as outsourcing consultants. They are familiar with every aspect of the company's business and every line of code, even the few core algorithms that Ji Mingxian takes pride in. The true underlying architecture were created by them. My words detonated like a heavy bomb in the conference room. Everyone was stunned. The young people left in the tech department looked at the group of ghosts that walked in with a gaze as if they were deities. Some of them were the legendary figures in the industry, known only by name, but never seen in person. The AI recommendation engine that Ji Mingxian had boasted about countless times outside, which had won us industry awards, was something he claimed to be the result of a month of seclusion. And at this moment, the true author, a boy who looked no more than 20, wearing black-rimmed glasses and with messy hair, was yawning as he walked onto the stage. He took the microphone and spoke somewhat impatiently. Director JIS version is too inefficient. We've optimized it a bit. He tapped on the keyboard, and the large screen was instantly filled with a dense array of code. As he quickly demonstrated, he explained in a language that all programmers could understand. The original algorithm had too much redundancy. We've restructured the underlying logic, increasing the query speed by 300 and reducing server costs by 40. Below the stage, the eyes of those employees from the technical department grew wider and wider. Their mouths agape as if they could fit an egg inside. Shock, admiration, fervor. I looked at the expressions on their faces and knew that the morale of the troops was secure. From today onwards, the Phantom team will officially take over all core projects, I announced. At the same time, to thank everyone for their choice during the company's difficult times. All remaining employees will receive a 30 salary increase. Additionally, the company will launch a new stock option incentive plan, where outstanding employees will have the opportunity to receive company stock options within the next year. Boom! The conference room erupted with thunderous applause and cheers. The previous fear and unease were swept away, replaced by the excitement of having survived a disaster and a longing for the future. I looked at the boiling crowd below, my heart calm. Ji Mingxian, you think you have taken away my right and left arms. But you don't know that they are merely pawns I placed in plain sight. My true trump card has only just made its entrance. After the meeting, messages from Ji Mingxian flooded in again. Impossible. Chen Qing, where did you find these people? You set me up. Even through the screen. I could feel the incredulous collapse in his words. I didn't reply and simply silenced my phone. An hour later, I found myself in the reception room of a prestigious law firm. Sitting across from me was Gu Zhe. He was the star lawyer of this firm and also my senior from university. A man who was always suave and refined, yet could articulate the most lethal clauses in the calmest tone. He adjusted his gold-rimmed glasses and looked at the documents I had brought. Ching Ching. Your move to pull the rug out from under them is truly impressive. I need to handle the divorce and non-compete agreement as soon as possible. I got straight to the point. Don't worry. Gu Zhe's voice was reassuring. In the divorce lawsuit, he cheated during the marriage and transferred assets, making him the party at fault, so he won't get much. As for those 53 non-compete agreements, the terms are clear and the evidence is solid. They have no chance of winning. He looked at me, but dealing with so many people at once. Are you okay? I shook my head, feeling not a trace of fatigue, but rather filled with fighting spirit. I'm doing well. The company I founded with my own hands. The lover I chose wrongly with my own hands. Now, I am going to correct all of this with my own hands. The hammer of the non-compete agreement fell much faster than Ji Mingxian had imagined. Early the next morning, under the expedited handling of Gu Zhe's top law firm, 53 sternly worded legal letters were swiftly delivered to each of the defector employees through the fastest local courier and email. The document they had never paid attention to when they joined now transformed into the sword of Damocles hanging over their heads. The amount of the penalty was personally tailored by me for them. It is not a unified number, but rather calculated based on each person's position, salary, and the extent of their access to core secrets. For core technical personnel, it is the total of their 3-year annual salary, plus the valuation of project bonuses. Neither more nor less. It is exactly the number that can wipe out their years of hard-earned savings overnight, or even plunge them into massive debt. Enough to ruin them completely. in the so-called elite teen WeChat group of Ji Mingxian. It exploded completely. The first to jump out was the technical team leader, who sent a long string of voice messages in the group. His voice trembling. Mr. G. What on earth is going on? Over 2 million in penalty fees. Where am I supposed to get that from? Didn't you say Shenqing wouldn't dare? What about Director Anqi? Didn't you say there were investors waiting for us? This penalty fee shouldn't be a big deal for a new company, right? Damn it. My penalty fee is 1.5 million. I've only paid half of the down payment for the house I just bought. The group was in chaos, filled with accusations, panic, and mutual blame. Anqi initially tried to calm everyone down, sending some voice messages in the group. Her voice still weak. Everyone. Don't panic. This small issue Mingxian will handle well. Our investors behind us are very strong. The mere breach of contract penalty is not a problem at all. The promises she painted, which had countless admirers just a day ago, were now no longer believed by anyone. Soon, more devastating news arrived. The backer behind Anqi, a highly capable investor in the industry, was furious upon learning that she had falsified her resume and had embroiled his investment project in a lawsuit. Not only did he immediately announce the termination of all cooperation with Anqi and withdraw all investment commitments to Ji Mingxuan's new company, but he also declared that he would hold Anqi accountable for commercial fraud. This news became the last straw that broke the camel's back. Angel instantly transformed from a goddess holding resources into a plague that everyone wanted to avoid. Any message she sent in the group went unanswered. Ji Mingxuan's situation was even more difficult. He used his last savings to rent an entire floor of office space in the most upscale building in the city center, originally planning to make great strides. Now, the luxurious office has yet to be occupied, but it is already facing the predicament of a broken funding chain. What's worse is that the team he had painstakingly gathered has lost its cohesion. Every day, someone calls him, either demanding repayment or cursing him for leading everyone into a pit of fire. In a state of desperation, he began selling off his sports cars and even put up for sale the apartment we bought after getting married, trying to raise money to stabilize the team. But once trust collapses, it can never be rebuilt. One after another, people wanted to turn back, sending messages through others, or even running directly to the company building, hoping to see me and plead for leniency. I had the HR department post a notice at the company entrance, with only one line in bold letters. Yunqi Technology does not recycle trash. This sentence quickly spread within the circle. This is my attitude, and it is also my determination. Betrayal comes in only two forms: 0 times and countless times. For the first time, Ji Mingxian felt true panic. His once proud technical team had become a hot potato. The lover he trusted implicitly turned out to be a complete fraud. What he thought was a sure coup had become a colossal joke. And I, the wife he thought he could manipulate at will, had quietly laid a trap in places he couldn't see. He began to call me frantically, but I didn't answer. He sent me lengthy messages on WeChat, reminiscing about the sweetness of our college romance to the hardships we faced in founding Yunqi Technology. With every word filled with regret and nostalgia, I looked at those words and felt nothing but irony. Had I known today would come, why did I bother in the first place? I deleted it casually and then dragged him into the blacklist. That late night, after finishing my overtime, I drove home. Under the streetlight in the community, a familiar figure leans against the trunk of a tree, holding a bottle of wine. Tipsy, it's Ji Mingxian. He looks much more haggard, with disheveled hair and a scruffy beard. No longer the spirited person he used to be. He must be waiting for me. My car window was tinted dark, and he didn't notice me. I tightened my grip on the steering wheel, then relaxed it again. No anger, no pity. Nothing at all. It was like watching a stranger who had nothing to do with me. I pressed the accelerator with a blank expression, and the car smoothly glided past him, turned, and entered the underground garage. In the rearview mirror, His figure grew smaller and smaller, until it finally became a blurred black dot. Ji Mingxian, your play is about to come to an end, and my life is just beginning. People like Ji Mingxian, once they find themselves in a desperate situation, will resort to any means necessary. He knew that directly asking me would be useless, so he set his sights on my parents instead. On Saturday morning, I rarely had the chance to sleep in, but I was jolted awake by my mom's relentless calls. As soon as the call connected, my mom's sharp cries pierced through my eardrums. Qin Qing, do you have any conscience left? Are you trying to drive Mingxian to death? I pulled my phone away a bit and rubbed my aching temples. Mom, what's wrong? What's wrong? You still ask me what's wrong? My mom's voice was laced with tears and anger. Mingxian has already come to our house. Kneel on the ground and beg us. Say you must divorce him and sue him, making him lose everything. How can you be so heartless? He is your husband. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath. Sure enough, he resorted to this most despicable tactic, using my parents' soft hearts to emotionally blackmail me. Qin Qing, your dad wants you to come back right now. Immediately, on the other end of the phone, my dad's furious voice took over. Have you grown wings and stopped listening to us? I'm telling you, if you dare ruin Mingxian's future, we won't have a daughter like you. Okay, I'll go back. I calmly hung up the phone and then sent a message to Guze. Plan initiated. Half an hour later, I returned to the home where I had grown up. In the living room, the atmosphere was so tense it felt like it could drip with water. My parents sat on the main sofa, their faces grim. Ji Mingxian was sitting on the small sofa opposite them, his eyes red and swollen, looking aggrieved and haggard. On the coffee table in front of him lay various precious tonics he had brought. When he saw me, he immediately stood up, as if he had seen a savior, yet also as if he had seen an enemy. His expression complex. The setup for a three-way interrogation was already in place. As soon as I walked in, my mom's tears started flowing. She pointed at me and said to Ji Mingxian, Mingxian, don't be afraid. We'll stand up for you. This wretched girl has been bewitched by those wild men outside. My dad slammed the table and glared at me angrily. Kneel down. I stood there, unmoving. I told you to kneel down. Apologize to Mingxian. My dad was shaking with rage. Couples argue at the head of the bed and make up at the foot. Why can't you just talk things out? Why do you have to make it so extreme? After all these years, he may not have achievements, but he has put in effort. What's wrong with giving him half of the company? Withdraw all those ridiculous lawsuits right now. Share half with him. I looked at my dad, feeling an overwhelming sense of strangeness. Dad, do you know how much Yinchi Technology is worth now? Do you know the losses he caused the company when he left with his team? I don't care about that. My dad shouted irrationally. All I know is that he is our Shin family's son-in-law. You can't treat him like this. Ji Mingxian, standing by, timely squeezed out a few tears and choked out. Dad, Mom, don't blame Qing Qing. It's all my fault for not being capable enough to give her a better life. Now that she knows someone more impressive, she looks down on me. I only ask her, for the sake of our past relationship, to give me a way to survive. His heartfelt words made my parents feel an unbearable ache. My mom grabbed his hand, crying as she scolded me. Look at what you've done to Mingxian. Qin Qing, I'm making it clear today. Either you withdraw the lawsuit and live well with Mingxian, or you cut ties with us and never set foot in this house again. Cut ties. Again with this phrase. Since I was little, whenever I misbehaved, they would threaten me with this phrase. I looked at them, at the home I once thought was a safe haven, and my heart felt icy. I laughed. Laughing so hard that tears were almost coming out. All right. I walked to the coffee table and slammed the brown paper bag I brought onto the table. With a pop, the contents inside scattered out. A stack of photos, a dozen bank statements, and a small voice recorder. In the photos, Ji Mingxian and Anqi are kissing and embracing on the beach in Sanya, with the backdrop of our company's team-building event, while I was, at that time, pulling 2 all-nighters due to a sudden server failure. The bank statements clearly recorded that, starting from half a year ago, Ji Mingxian had been transferring money from our joint account in batches to a strange account. The total amount reached several million. He also used that money to buy Anqi a red Porsche sports car, the one that had been parked downstairs at our company. Flaunted for a long time. My parents' expressions changed instantly. Ji Mingxian's face turned ashen. He lunged forward trying to grab those things, but I pushed him away. I picked up the voice recorder and pressed the play button. My dear, don't worry. Chen Qing, that yellow-faced woman. What does she know about management? She's just a tech geek. The company would collapse without me. Once I bring out the core team, she'll have no choice but to hand the company over to me. By then, you'll be the vice president. No, you'll be the lady boss of my company. Her 60 shares. Heh. Once we get married, they'll be our joint property. In the recording, Ji Mingxian and Anqi's explicit conversation echoed clearly in the living room. Those filthy and unbearable calculations, like sharp knives, cut through his mask of disguise and my parents' self-deceptive illusions. In the living room, there was a dead silence. My parents' faces changed from red to white. They stared blankly at the evidence on the table, and then looked at Ji Mingxian, whose face was ashen, their lips trembling, and they couldn't say a word. I turned off the recorder and looked at my 2 parents who were crushed by reality. Now, are you really going to sever ties with me for someone like this? My voice was soft, yet carried an unprecedented determination. Fine. I'll grant you that. Having said that, I turned around, not looking at them again, and strode out of this suffocating home. The door closed behind me, shutting out all my hesitation and weakness. I heard my mother's heart-wrenching cries and my father's furious curses from behind. But none of this mattered to me anymore. The sunlight outside is great, making my eyes feel a bit sore. I took a deep breath, and the pent-up emotions that had been tied down by familial affection finally dissipated. I got into the car and played an exhilarating rock song for myself. With the accelerator pressed to the floor, the car roared out, Ji Mingxian, and those who have hurt me in the past, your nightmare is only just beginning. The pain of breaking ties with my parents was shorter than I had imagined. When I poured all my energy into work, those so-called familial wounds were completely cleared away, like junk files on a computer. After I drove Ji Mingxian out of the house, he completely became a lost dog. But I know he won't just give up. A person who is used to taking shortcuts will not be willing to start from scratch. I held a strategic meeting, with only myself and a few core members of the Ghost team in attendance. Ji Mingxian still holds some of the technology from our old version in his hands. Although it's not core, it's enough for him to deceive some small companies that are not sensitive to technology. Dragging out some outsourcing projects, I pointed at the analysis chart on the screen, calmly laying out the plan. What he lacks the most right now is money and case studies. So, we need to do 2 things. First, cut off his financial resources. Second, ruin his reputation. The guy in black-framed glasses with the code name Phantom, who is also the leader of the Ghost team, lazily raised his hand. Boss, what do we do? Just hack into his computer directly. No need to make it so complicated. I shook my head. If we're going to play, let's play it openly. I pointed to a word on the screen: dimensionality reduction strike. Starting today, we will launch 3 Youth Edition software targeting the 3 areas where Ji Mingxian's team excels: corporate data visualization, customer relationship management, and intelligent recommendation systems. Functionally, it's 20 stronger than the old version they have. In terms of price, it's free for all small and medium-sized enterprises. What? Free? One member exclaimed in surprise. Then how do we make money? What we need to earn is not the small amount of money in front of us. But the market, the future. I looked at them, my gaze sharp. We need to let the entire market know that the technology of Yunqi Technology is irreplaceable. Anyone who tries to steal our technology and start anew will only find themselves on a dead end. We need to make sure that Ji Mingxian can't even get the smallest outsourcing contract. The eyes of P. Han Tom lit up, and he excitedly licked his lips. Interesting, boss. I like this job. My orders were executed efficiently. 3 days later, the official website of Yunqi Technology announced with great fanfare that in order to support the development of small and medium-sized enterprises, it would launch 3 permanently free enterprise-level software. As soon as the news broke, the industry was shaken. Countless small and medium-sized enterprises flocked in, causing the official website's server to crash at one point. At this moment, Ji Mingxian was running around with his revised old proposal, finally managing to get in touch with an e-commerce company willing to collaborate. He boasted about how much traffic his technology could bring to them, passionately painting a grand vision with his words. Just as the other party's boss was somewhat tempted and ready to sign the contract, his assistant rushed in. Boss, don't sign. Yunqi Technology has released a free version. Its features are much stronger than this one. Our tech department has tested it, and the results are amazing. The boss gazed towards Ji Mingxian, instantly shifted from admiration to disdain. Director Ji, are you trying to fool me with something outdated from 3 years ago? Ji Mingxian's face turned green on the spot. The first project he managed to secure was already dead in the water before it even started. This is just the beginning. In the following week, I personally led the team to visit all the potential clients that Ji Mingxian might reach out to. I didn't need to say much. I simply laid our new proposal and their free version on the table. None of those clients are fools. The fate of a traitor is usually quite tragic. Ji Mingxian soon discovered that the technology he prided himself on had become worthless in the market. No company dared to hire him, and no project dared to seek him out. He and his so-called elite team had completely become a joke in the industry. In despair, his last lifeline was left with Anqi. He thought Anqi had connections and could help him make a comeback, but he didn't know that Anqi was more realistic than he was. After confirming that Ji Mingxian was no longer of any use, Anqi, one late night, took the remaining cash of over 200,000 from his account, meant for paying the team, and then vanished without a trace, turning off her phone, blocking him on WeChat, disappearing completely. When Ji Mingxian woke up the next day, he found himself utterly alone. And when he checked his bank card balance, which was down to just 2 digits, he completely broke down. Abandoned by friends and family, his company went bankrupt, his mistress ran away, and he was burdened with massive personal debts and lawsuits for breach of contract from dozens of employees. He fell from the clouds and landed hard in the mud. A week later, I stood on the podium of the industry summit as the annual Rising Entrepreneur, wearing a sharp white suit. I spoke confidently in front of thousands of industry elites. I talked about the technological innovations of Yunqi Technology, our talent strategy, and our vision for the future. Under the spotlight, I shone brilliantly. At this moment, Ji Mingxian was cornered in his rented apartment by several employees he had wronged. Forcing him to pay back the money, he was grabbed by the collar, shoved to the ground, and looked utterly disheveled. A well-meaning person recorded the video and posted it in the industry group. I saw that video in the backstage of the summit. The man in the video is a completely different person from the proud and arrogant man I remember. In my heart, there is neither satisfaction nor pity, only a profound sense of calm. Ji Mingxian, you have not only lost your career but also the one who once was willing to start from scratch with you and shield you from all storms. And this is, after all, the greatest loss of your life. On the day the divorce case was heard, the weather was beautiful, and the sun was shining brightly. I walked into the courthouse and immediately saw Guze waiting at the door. He was dressed in a crisp lawyer's robe today, his expression solemn, but the eyes behind his gold-rimmed glasses remained gentle. Don't worry, I've got this, he said to me. I nodded. feeling very calm inside. From the very beginning, the outcome of this lawsuit was already predetermined. In the courtroom, Ji Mingxian sat in the defendant's seat, looking as if all his spirit had been drained away, his appearance haggard. But when he spoke, he immediately put on a victim's face. He tearfully accused me before the judge, claiming how I was overbearing and dictatorial, running the company with an iron fist. He said how, after he had worked hard to build his empire, I kicked him to the curb. He portrayed himself as a pitiful man who had sacrificed everything for his family and career, only to be abandoned by his ungrateful wife. He tried to evoke the judge's sympathy, repeatedly emphasizing his contributions to Yunqi Technology, demanding an equal share of the company's entire equity. Your Honor, Yunqi Technology was built by Shenqing and me from the ground up, just like our child. Now she wants a divorce and to kick me out of the company. This is unfair. I remained expressionless the entire time, not even bothering to give him a glance. This one-man show was both clumsy and disgusting. I entrusted everything to Gu Zhe. When it was my turn to present, Gu Zhe stood up. He did not passionately refute. Instead, he calmly presented piece after piece of evidence before the judge and the jury. First, regarding the evidence of the defendant Mr. Ji Mingxuan's infidelity in marriage, Gu Zhe pressed the switch of the projector. On the large screen in the courtroom, intimate photos of Ji Mingxian and Anqi appeared clearly in various settings, from the beach in Sanya to candlelit dinners in upscale restaurants, and even surveillance screenshots of them entering the same apartment late at night. The timeline stretched back quite a long way, with the earliest photo dating back a year and a half. Ji Mingxuan's face turned pale in an instant. Second, regarding the evidence of the defendant transferring marital joint property during the marriage, Gu Zhe switched to another document. On the screen were clear bank transfer records, from the joint account of Ji Mingxian and me, to the account under Anqi's name. Every transaction was crystal clear. Upon investigation, it was found that the defendant had transferred a total of 3,270,000 yuan in marital joint property to his mistress, Miss Anqi. Over the past year, this included the purchase of a Porsche 911 sports car for 1,600,000 yuan and a high-end apartment in the city center valued at 1,500,000 yuan. Gu Zhe paused upon hearing this, his voice clear. A low murmur of astonishment arose in the courtroom. Ji Mingxuan's lawyer's face had already turned very grim. Thirdly, regarding the evidence of the defendant's conspiracy to seize control of the company and maliciously harm its interests, Gu Zhe took out the small recording pen. Qing, that yellow-faced woman, what does she know about management? That filthy conversation, which I had already heard before, echoed once again in the solemn courtroom. Ji Mingxian slumped completely in the defendant's seat, looking at me with eyes filled with despair and resentment. Gu Zhe's voice was like the final judgment. Your Honor, my client, Ms. Qing, is the absolute controlling shareholder of Yunqi Technology, holding 60 of the shares. The defendant, Mr. Ji Mingxian, holds 30. The defendant not only committed serious infidelity during the marriage and maliciously transferred a large amount of assets, but also incited core employees of the company, attempting to undermine and seize control of the company. His actions have caused immeasurable reputational and economic losses to Yunqi Technology. Therefore, we request the court to rule that the defendant, as the party at fault in the marriage, should leave with nothing. At the same time, we reserve the right to further pursue civil compensation for the defendant's actions that harmed the company's interests. Ji Mingxuan's lawyer has already given up the struggle. The chain of evidence is complete and clear. Ji Mingxuan's lies crumble before the ironclad facts. After a brief recess, the judge announced the verdict in court. After deliberation, this court rules as follows. 1. The plaintiff Shenqing is granted a divorce from the defendant Ji Mingxian. 2. The defendant Ji Mingxian has committed significant faults during the marriage. The joint property acquired after marriage will be divided with the plaintiff Shenqing receiving 90 and the defendant Ji Mingxian receiving 10. 3. regarding the defendant's 30 shares in Yunxi Technology. They will be liquidated after assessment. The proceeds must be prioritized for compensating the 53 employees he has poached for their non-compete agreements, as well as for compensating the economic losses caused to Yunxi Technology. The gavel fell, producing a dull sound. Everything has settled. This verdict means that Ji Mingxian will not receive a single penny from Yunxi Technology, and his so-called 10 of the marital joint property, after deducting the money he transferred, is now almost nothing. More importantly, he has to face alone the 53 penalties for breach of contract, amounting to tens of millions. Not only does he leave empty-handed, but he also bears a debt so enormous that it could crush him for a lifetime. The trial was over, and I walked out of the courthouse. The afternoon sun warmed my skin. Gu Zhe stood beside me, shielding me from the glaring light. "It's all over," he said. I nodded, looking at the azure sky, and let out a long sigh. Yes, it's all over. That man named Ji Mingxian, that failed marriage, those unbearable pasts, were all completely settled and sealed away with the sound of the gavel. Having nothing was a feeling Ji Mingxian had never experienced. When the court's judgment took effect, when the label of a dishonest executor was affixed to him, when all his bank cards were frozen, and when he was kicked out of the home we once shared, forced to rent a dark basement in the suburbs, he finally came to terms with reality. He began to madly reminisce about the past. It wasn't me he missed, but the life he had personally destroyed, a life free from worries, with boundless prospects. In his fallen state, what repeatedly surfaced in his mind was no longer Angel's gentle embrace, but the bowl of soup I had kept warm for him while working late, the porridge I had made for him when he was sick, and the scene of us, at the beginning of our entrepreneurial journey, crammed in a small rented room, sharing a bowl of instant noodles. He finally realized that what he had destroyed was not a company, but his only support and warmth. He started messaging me. It was from a strange number he had begged for. Ching Ching. I was wrong. I was really wrong. These past few days, you've been on my mind constantly. I remember your favorite Xilongbao from that place in the south of the city, and I walked over today to buy you a basket. But I don't know where you live now. Ching Ching. It's getting cold, and you have arthritis. Remember to dress warmly. I remember you said that when we grow old, we would go to Dali and open a guest house to see Sangshan and Arai. Is that still the plan? Ching Ching. I miss you so much. These little essays filled with regret and warmth are sent to my phone punctually every day. I look at those words and feel a tumult in my stomach. What were you doing all this time? When I was giving my all for the company, for our future, where were you? When I was being pressured by you and your people, when I needed your support the most, where were you? Now that I have nothing left, you come to talk to me about feelings. What a great irony. I expressionlessly blocked that number again. He seems to be undeterred. He started going to the restaurant we used to frequent, sitting there all day, ordering the cheapest bowl of noodles, hoping to run into me. The restaurant owner called me, his tone filled with sympathy and difficulty. I simply replied, "Next time he comes, just call the police and say he's harassing customers." He went to find our mutual friends, those who had witnessed our journey from school uniforms to wedding dresses. He cried as he expressed his regrets, hoping they could help plead his case. As a result, my hot-tempered girlfriends mercilessly berated him, leaving him drenched in humiliation. Ji Mingxian, how dare you show your face here? Do you remember how Ching Ching treated you, and how you treated her in return? You're nothing but an ungrateful wolf. Get lost. We don't need friends like you. He even went to my parents' house, a place he used to know like the back of his hand. This time, what awaited him was no longer hot tea and smiling faces. My brother, a soldier who has been working away from home for years, happened to be on leave and knew all the ins and outs of the situation. Seeing Ji Mingxian kneeling at the doorstep, trying once again to elicit sympathy, my brother wasted no time and grabbed the broom from the corner. swinging it fiercely at him. "Get out of our house, you beast. If you dare to harass my sister and our family again, I will break your legs." Ji Mingxian was beaten by my brother, fleeing in a panic with his head in his hands. All his struggles, all his confessions, seemed to me like a late, meaningless farce. He didn't regret hurting me. He only regretted losing everything I could bring him. This cheap epiphany made me feel dirty even just to look at it for a moment longer. My life has already opened a new chapter. Yunqi Technology, under the leadership of the Phantom team, has radiated an unprecedented vitality. Every day, I am busy with new projects and new challenges. The name Ji Mingxian has become as inconsequential to me as a pebble by the roadside. Stirring not a ripple. I thought that the non-compete agreement and the court ruling would be enough to make those traitors see reality and lay down their arms. But I still underestimated the greed and shamelessness of human nature. Among the 53 defecting employees, there was a key technical staff member named Li Wei, who was Ji Mingxian's most trusted confidant. His penalty for breach of contract amounted to 3 million, one of the highest among them all. The house was auctioned off. His savings were wiped out. And his wife divorced him. In just 1 month, his life plummeted from heaven to hell. Driven to desperation by debt, he entertained some crooked ideas. He found a self-media outlet that specialized in sensationalism and accepted an exclusive interview. In front of the camera, he cried and sniffled, portraying himself as a pitiful employee exploited by unscrupulous capitalists. He distorted the facts and portrayed me as a ruthless female devil who killed donkeys. Chen Qing, she is an executioner. We followed her hard to fight the country. And in the end, in order to support her new love team, she used a non-compete agreement that we didn't know at all to drive all our old employees to a dead end. She just wants us to die. She just doesn't want us to have a way to live. The article, with its inflammatory title, quickly fermented on the internet. Explosive. The beautiful CEO forces the hero to death for love. Behind the sky-high non-compete agreement lies the decay of humanity. Netizens who are unaware of the truth are most easily stirred by such stories. In no time, many unfavorable comments about our company appeared online, and some even began to boycott our products, affecting the company's reputation. The PR department was in a state of chaos, and Guze suggested that I immediately send a lawyer's letter to sue the self-media for defamation. I looked at the computer screen, those unsightly insults making my gaze grow colder by the moment. Send a lawyer's letter. That's too slow, I said to Guze. When dealing with a mad dog, you can't just use a stick. You need a gun. The next afternoon, in my capacity as the CEO of Yunqi Technology, I held an online press conference. No media was invited, and the entire event was live-streamed online, facing millions of viewers online. I did not explain or play the victim. I simply played a recording calmly. As long as we follow General G, everyone in the new company will get a house. Director Anqi said that her investor is worth over 100 billion. What does that woman Chen Qing understand? She's just an accountant. Without us, the company will collapse immediately. When the time comes, she'll beg us to come back. But we won't. Let President Xi take all the shares she has. In the recording, it was the day of the coup, with Ji Mingxian, Li Wei, and several core members discussing how to divide the company in the corridor outside the conference room. Their greedy faces and ugly schemes were laid bare in the clear recording. The live stream's bullet comments exploded in an instant. What the hell? This twist. It turns out to be the story of the farmer and the snake. This guy named Li Wei is really an ingrate. He wanted to be a traitor. And now that he's been dealt with, he turns around and blames others. My heart aches for President Shen, betrayed by both her husband and her employees. This is not over yet. I continued and released another piece of evidence. It was a complete record of Li Wei, during his tenure, using the company's server resources to privately take on outsourced projects, encroaching on the company's interests. This included his chat logs with clients, transfer records, and evidence of him misappropriating the company's unpublished code for personal projects. "Mr. Li Wei," I said to the camera, my voice icy, "you have worked for our company for 3 years, with a total salary of $1.78 million. However, you have taken advantage of your position to engage in private work and embezzle company property, with a total amount reaching $2.15 million. This is no longer just a matter of violating professional ethics. I announce that Yunqi Technology will not only seek to recover all your non-compete penalties but will also formally file criminal charges against you for embezzlement. According to our country's laws, embezzlement of a large amount can result in a prison sentence of more than 5 years. My words struck like a heavy hammer, hitting Li Wei hard through the internet. Watching the live broadcast, waiting for public opinion to continue to ferment so that Li Wei could pressure me. He was completely dumbfounded. He probably never dreamed that I still held such a deadly trump card in my hand. He completely broke down, kneeling downstairs at my company and begging for mercy before the live broadcast even ended. It was too late. The effect of killing the chicken to scare the monkey was remarkable. Public opinion flipped in an instant. The netizens who had previously insulted me turned against Li Wei, starting to denounce him as a modern-day Lu Bu. That self-media outlet also deleted the article at the first opportunity and issued an apology statement. The other defector employees, who were forced into a corner by the non-compete agreement and wanted to follow suit and cause trouble, were so frightened that their souls seemed to leave their bodies. They didn't expect my methods to be so ruthless, not only demanding money but also lives. The next day, a dozen people came to the company in a group, hoping to plead for my leniency. I had the security guard block the door, refusing to see anyone. From then on, no one dared to challenge the bottom line of Yunqi Technology. I told everyone a truth in the harshest way. My kindness is reserved for those who are worthy. I never show mercy to traitors. After the storm, Yunqi Technology welcomed a new beginning. With the strong technical support of the Phantom team, we launched a groundbreaking new product in less than half a year: the new generation AI search engine Qiming. Based on a brand new algorithm, the search accuracy and intelligence level of the Qiming engine far exceed all similar products in the country, and its release caused a sensation throughout the industry. Our user base has grown exponentially, and the company's stock price has soared, tripling in market value in just 3 months. I, Chen Qing, have completely transformed from the ex-wife of Ji Mingxian into a rising star in the tech world. At the celebration party for the new product launch, I wore a custom-made red gown, becoming the center of attention. Holding a glass of champagne, mingling among various investors and partners, I was calm, confident, and radiant. Gu Zhe had been quietly by my side. Unlike others who were eager to discuss collaboration and build connections with me, he simply handed me a glass of warm water when I needed it. When I was cornered by a few greasy investors, he subtly stepped in to shield me. He is like the most reliable knight, guarding me so that I can charge forward on my battlefield without distraction. The cocktail party has ended, and the guests have dispersed. I feel a bit tired and walk out to the hotel terrace to catch some fresh air. The evening breeze brushes against my cheeks, carrying a hint of coolness. Gu Zhe draped a shawl gently over my shoulders. The wind is strong at night. Don't catch a cold. His voice was as gentle as ever. I turned my head to look at him. Under the moonlight, his handsome profile was sharply defined, and the pair of eyes behind his golden-rimmed glasses gazed at me with focus and affection. My heart inexplicably skipped a beat. "Qing Qing," he suddenly spoke, his voice somewhat low. "I've been waiting for this day, for a long time." I looked at him in some confusion. "Not as your lawyer, but as Gu Zhe. I wait for you, to stand at this peak that belongs solely to you." He looked into my eyes and began to speak slowly. "From our college days, he first noticed me during a debate competition, where I was clear in logic and sharp in speech. After we graduated, he quietly watched me start my business, seeing me grow Yunqi Technology step by step. Then he watched me get caught in that mismatched marriage, feeling heartache for me but unable to intervene. I always thought Ji Mingxian would be a good match for you. I thought he understood your worth and would cherish your talent. Now it seems I misjudged him. Ching Ching. I'm not trying to take advantage of the situation. He took a deep breath. His gaze incredibly sincere. I just want to tell you that from the past, to the present, to the future, there has always been someone who appreciates you and supports you in ways you cannot see. I like you. Chin Ching. Would you be willing to give me a chance? His confession, devoid of flowery words and romantic build-up, flowed into my heart like a warm spring, slowly thawing the ice that had formed due to betrayal. I looked into his sincere eyes, my heart a whirlwind of emotions. The past hurts have instilled in me an instinctive guard against emotions. But I cannot deny that during those toughest days, it was Gu Ze's presence that provided me with the strongest support and the most reassuring warmth. I remained silent for a long time, not answering directly. I simply said softly, "Thank you, Gu Ze. Thank you for always being there." I met his gaze, for the first time, without flinching. "Give me some time." "Okay." Gu Ze was taken aback for a moment. Then a radiant smile blossomed on his face, one I had never seen before. "Okay." He looked at me gently, the light in his eyes brighter than the stars in the sky. "I will wait, no matter how long." At that moment, I seemed to hear the sound of my inner iceberg quietly cracking open a fissure. My success, and the existence of Gu Ze, were like two of the sharpest thorns, deeply piercing into Ji Mingxuan's heart. He saw the photo of Gu Ze and me at the celebration party on the gossip news. In the photo, I smile like a blooming flower, and Gu Ze looks at me with eyes so gentle they could drip with water. A match made in heaven. With talent and beauty, these words were like burning hot irons, scorching him until he was left with no unscathed skin. He believed that the spot beside me should have belonged to him. The glory of Yunqi technology should have been half his. I, the dazzling female lead, should have been his wife. Jealousy and regret, like two venomous snakes, gnawed at his sanity, driving him to madness. He began to stalk me, downstairs from my office, on my usual route home, in front of the cafe I often visit. I always catch sight of his eyes, filled with obsession and madness. He no longer tried to plead for mercy or confess. Instead, he fixed me with a gaze that was almost venomous, as if I had taken everything from him. Finally, on a night when I was working late, he burst out. I had just stepped out of the company gate when he sprang out from a dark corner and grabbed my wrist. His grip was strong, pinching me painfully. He reeked of alcohol, his eyes bloodshot, like a cornered beast driven to desperation. "Chin Ching, you can't do this to me," he shouted, spitting saliva onto my face. "The company is ours. You are mine. How dare you be with another man? How dare you?" I hated the thought of shaking him off, but he held on tighter. "Let go." I snapped coldly. "I won't let go. You have to clarify things with me today. Have you been having an affair with that guy with the surname Gu all along? Is that why you've been treating me like this?" His logic was absurd and laughable. Just as I was about to use my pepper spray, a figure flashed by from the side. It was Gu Ze. He must have arrived without me noticing, probably worried about me and waiting nearby. He grabbed Ji Mingxuan's wrist and twisted it forcefully. Ji Mingxian winced in pain, letting out a cry, and released me. "Mr. Ji, please show some respect," Gu Ze said, positioning himself protectively behind me, his voice icy. "Chin Ching has nothing to do with you anymore. Fuck you." Ji Mingxian, seeing Gu Ze, was even more enraged. He swung his fist and charged forward. "Who do you think you are? How dare you steal my woman?" Gu Ze was a lawyer, not a thug. He sidestepped but still felt the rush of Ji Mingxuan's punch graze his cheek. I immediately called the police. The police arrived quickly and took the crazed Ji Mingxian away. After a round of warnings and education, he was released. But he showed no restraint. He began to register various accounts online, frantically spreading rumors about me and Guze, concocting all sorts of unsightly stories. But the ramblings of a discredited executor could stir no waves, aside from drawing a chorus of laughter. They served no purpose. His behavior became increasingly extreme. He even tried to rush into my office during the day, only to be pinned to the ground by the company's security, looking at his face twisted by madness. All my patience was completely worn away. All that remained was a deep-seated disgust. I no longer gave him any chances. I directly applied to the court for a personal safety protection order. It prohibits Ji Mingxian from appearing in any form within 300 meters of my company, residence, and myself. When that protection order, stamped with the court's seal, was delivered to Ji Mingxian, I knew that I had severed the last connection between us with my own hands. From then on, only the boundaries of the law remained between us. Just when I thought life could finally settle down completely, an unexpected person appeared once again. It was Angie. That afternoon, I was meeting a client at the cafe downstairs from the office. A haggard-looking woman in cheap clothes suddenly rushed over and blocked my way. Her hair was dry and yellow, her eye sockets sunken, and her face wore a kind of mercenary yet humble smile. I stared for several seconds before recognizing that she was actually the once glamorous and imperious Angel. It seemed that being abandoned by her benefactor and pursued for debts by Ji Mingxuan's gang was not an easy life. Mr. Chen, Sister Qing, she blocked my path, her voice hoarse. Can we talk? I looked at her, saying nothing. She thought I was still holding a grudge against her and hurriedly explained. I'm not here to cause trouble. I am here to help you. She pulled me into a corner and said mysteriously, Qing Jia, I know a lot of dirt on Ji Mingxian. I know all the things he did behind your back, and the details of how he schemed against the company and transferred assets. If you give me some money, I'll give you all the evidence. I guarantee he won't be able to turn things around again. She must have heard through some channel about Ji Mingxuan's recent crazy harassment of me. Thinking this was her last chance to turn things around, she wanted to extort some money from me and then fly far away. I looked at her face, filled with greed and scheming, and suddenly laughed. Miss N, do you think I still need his dirt on me now? My smile froze the expression on Enchi's face. Yes. Ji Mingxian is already a complete failure with nothing to his name. What value does his dirt hold for me anymore? I looked at her, my eyes filled with disdain. However, I do have some information about you. I took out my phone and opened a recording file. Sisters, don't worry. Follow me, Anqi, and I'll ensure you live a life of luxury. Ji Mingxian is just a fool in my hands. Once I gain control of the company, you will all be heroes. That Li Wei is the greediest. Just dangle the title of technical director in front of him, and he'll do anything. And then there's Manager Wang from the sales department. He's lecherous. I'll find an opportunity. In the recording, Anqi made promises to win over the hearts of those defecting employees and shared her evaluations of each one of them. Her triumphant tone formed a stark contrast with her humble appearance at that moment. Anqi's face instantly turned pale. She never expected that the words she had privately spoken to divide and win over those people would actually be recorded. What do you want to do? She looked at me in terror. I don't want to do anything. I put away my phone and said, I'm the kind of person who doesn't like to get my hands dirty. I didn't call the police, nor did I cause her any trouble. I simply had my assistant send these audio files anonymously to a few former employees who had suffered the most from the non-compete agreements and who hated Ji Mingxian and Anqi to the core. I knew that, compared to me, they needed to find Anqi more. A few days later, I heard from the gossip within the circle that Anqi was cornered by a group of people in the shabby rental she lived in. How proud she was when she incited others. How grand the promises she made. Now those people were just as furious when they came to collect. Her fate, it is said, was quite tragic. But I had no interest in knowing the details. Evil people have their own evil to contend with. When it comes to dealing with this trash, I can't even be bothered to get my hands dirty. Ji Mingxian has gone mad. After learning about Anqi's tragic fate, he directed all his hatred towards me. He felt it was me who ruined everything for him. His mental state completely collapsed, and that restraining order became nothing more than a piece of paper to him. That night, Gu Zhe and I had just finished a collaborative dinner and were heading to the parking lot to get the car. Just as I opened the car door, a black sedan, like a raging bull, roared from the other end of the parking lot and charged violently towards us. The headlights were blinding, and I could even see the twisted face of Ji Mingxian in the driver's seat. Contorted by madness, he wanted to take me down with him. Everything happened too quickly. I didn't have time to react. My mind was a blank. In that critical moment, Gu Zhe suddenly pushed me away. "Be careful." I stumbled from his push and fell to the ground. As for him, he lost the best chance to dodge and was violently thrown out by that crazy car. Bang! A tremendous crash echoed throughout the underground parking lot, the sound of the car colliding with the rear wall. I looked at Gu Zhe, lying in a pool of blood, feeling as if the entire world had come to a standstill. "Gu Zhe!" I cried out with all my heart. Scrambling and crawling towards him, Ji Mingxian was caught on the spot. He sat in the driver's seat, looking at Gu Zhe lying on the ground and me, who was holding him and crying. And he actually laughed, laughing madly, laughing like a devil. He was sentenced to 10 years in prison for attempted intentional injury, along with his previous offenses and multiple violations of personal safety protection orders, with the sentences to be served consecutively. I saw him again in court. He had completely turned into a madman. With a vacant stare and rambling nonsense, our story came to an end in such a tragic way. Gu Zhe suffered a fractured left leg and a mild concussion while protecting me. I stayed by his side in the hospital, never leaving him. I watched him, reckless for my sake, enduring the pain while trying to comfort me, and the last barrier in my heart completely melted away. My parents learned everything from the news and rushed to the hospital to see me, tears streaming down their faces. They held my hands, repeatedly apologizing, regretting that they shouldn't have pressured me, that they shouldn't have trusted that beast. Ji Mingxian. I looked at their faces, aged significantly overnight, and my heart was filled with mixed emotions. I accepted their apologies, but I told them that some cracks, once formed, can never be repaired. We can be family, but we can never return to the past. We need time to heal individually. The day Gu Zhe was discharged from the hospital, I went to pick him up. He leaned on his cane, walked out of the hospital gate, and when he saw me, he broke into a warm smile. I stepped forward, said nothing, and simply took his hand in mine. His palm was broad and warm, giving me an unprecedented sense of security. Gu Zhe was stunned, and then he tightly grasped my hand, the smile in his eyes almost overflowing. "Lawyer Gu." I looked at him and smiled as well. "I hope to receive your guidance in the future." 1 year later, Anqi Technology successfully went public on Nasdaq. As the youngest bell-ringing female entrepreneur in history, I stood at the pinnacle of my career. At the moment of the bell ringing, I turned my head to look at Gu Zhe, who was standing beside me. On our ring fingers, we wore matching, simply designed rings. He looked at me, his eyes filled with nothing but me. I looked at the employees cheering for me below, and at my partner beside me with a gentle smile, feeling a sense of peace and contentment in my heart. I know that the rainy night of betrayal, that past filled with schemes and hurt, has been completely buried by me. I have personally created a bright future for myself, living towards the sun. So beautiful,